Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here. It is April 5th, 2023, and the time is 6 o'clock or maybe 30 seconds after. It is Bay City Council meeting. I've asked Kepe Himuli if he would hold this meeting in prayer. Kepe?
Kind Father in heaven, we're grateful for this chance we have to be in attendance at City Council meeting. Grateful for the city of Payson and for those who serve. Grateful for the wonderful neighborhoods that we live in and the privileges that we enjoy. Pray that might be blessed, that there may be kindness and understanding in the discussions that are made, and how we may be able to appreciate all of those who serve and take care of us here in Payson. And we love you and ask this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you, Kepe. I've also asked Ryan Rowley if he would lead us in the pledge. Ryan, come on up.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ryan. Okay, we're moving on to B, the consent agenda. Number one, approval of the minutes of the March 15th, 2023 City Council minutes. Proclamation, Arbor Day, another proclamation, the Municipal Clerk Week, and the last item, proclamation, National Volunteers Week. Council, if there's no discussion on the consent agenda, I'm ready for a motion.
I move that we approve the consent agenda as outlined by the mayor.
Okay, we have a motion and seconded. Roll call vote, started with Council Beecher.
Yes.
Council Carter.
Yes.
Council Prosgaard.
Yes.
Council Hyatt.
Yes.
Is the council on? I don't see him. Okay, thank you. Motion carries. Going on to C, petitions. The Chamber quarterly report is Diane Jensen here. Diane, how are you?
Good, how are you? Well, it's nice to be here for the Chamber. I've enjoyed being a member of the Chamber in Payson. It's a lot of fun. But I first wanted to recognize Jim Rowland. You guys know what an amazing man he is. And since he's been the director of the Chamber, we've seen a lot of progress and good things happening with the Chamber of Commerce. So we're really lucky to have him. In January, we had our annual dinner, and that was really successful. Thank you to all of you who attended the annual dinner. It was a great evening, and we appreciate your support of that. The Chamber Executive Board attended the Utah Association of Chambers of Commerce Winter Conference in February in Salt Lake, and that was a wonderful opportunity to go see how the other chambers function and get some great ideas for continuing to build our Chamber of Commerce. We held the Payson Santa Quin Chamber Board Retreat on January 31st, where as board members, we set goals and planned for the year. Our 2023 annual meeting was held at South County Lanes on March 20th, and good attendance at that and enjoyed that. We've done 2 ribbon cuttings so far this year, one at Simple Nutrition and at the Fellas Chop Shop. And currently our membership numbers for the Chamber are, we have 5 new members, 31 renewals, and our total membership as of today is 156.
Wonderful, thank you.
So, thanks.
Good to hear. Okay, moving on to the public forum part of our agenda. Anyone can speak on items that are not on the agenda and try to limit your time to 3 minutes or less in that area. So, Benjamin, do you want to address us? Come on up. We've talked a little bit, so come on up.
A couple months ago, I appeared before you guys and told you about the Easter Sunrise concert that we were going to put together for the city of Payson. This is a progress report. I'm gonna let you know that that's going on. I've received a great deal of support from the community and from the city, and I wanted to thank you folks for that. Sunday morning, 6:30 a.m., Petite Need Auditorium. Hope to see some of you guys there. I realize it's early, but I don't expect the people at the first Easter Sunday to be out early that morning either. So we hope to see you guys there. If you have any questions for me, I'm happy to answer them. Other than that, that's it.
I see what you said. We hope this is
I
an
said-
annual one.
I hope this is an annual one, yes. But 6:30, the choir's going to be getting ready at 6:15. So if you want to hear more than just the program, in 10 minutes early and hear some more stuff. Petite Need Auditorium, 6:30 a.m.
Just so you know, Councilor Proscott, Bob Proscott has consented to do the welcoming, and I'll do the closing remarks.
If you need any changes made to any of those remarks, let me know.
I modify it, and
You certainly you may.
if I may modify it, I'll just modify it. Change a couple names.
And that's fine.
And, you know, and I haven't had a chance, but try to be as succinct as we can. Is that right? Be mindful of the time. Okay.
I'm more than happy to have the choir start singing whether you're talking or not. So you use your judgment then. I don't know your reputation, sir, but I know mine, and I'm not at all averse to stepping on people's toes if I need to start a program.
That's for sure.
Thank you, sir. Anything else?
Council?
Thank you for the invitation.
You bet. And anybody else who's listening out there, come on out. We'll see you there. Thank you much.
Mayor Hayden Euler's online and would like to comment.
Okay. We're ready.
All right. I'm Hayden Euler, and I actually joined and brought up an issue regarding crossing close to the baseball fields and near the high school, and proposed putting in some flashing crossing signals, similar to those used on college campuses for pedestrians. And I just wanted to follow up on that item that I brought up several months ago.
I'm not recalling that was brought up. Maybe I'm missing it, but we have talked about it before. And we'd certainly be willing to have the staff take a look at it. There's regulations as far as how close it would be to that stop light, and also the entrance to the seminary. So we'll have to take a look at a few of those situations. So I appreciate you bringing that back up.
Awesome. Yeah, I just want to follow up. I think when I brought it up last time, it was close to the seminary building that I proposed, but I think also it may also benefit if we can't do it there or in addition to there, doing it close to the soccer field parking spaces that are kind of behind that row of houses that face the high school. People typically park back there and then cross, and there's kind of a cinder block wall that makes it so you can't see students that have parked there and are heading towards the high school. But they cross there every morning and every afternoon to get to their cars, and usually at lunch as well. And so I think it would benefit us to have a flashing crossing signals there as well.
Okay, we certainly can consider that. Another reason that it's a little bit of a problem with the crossing there at the seminary building. Many times people are encouraged to park there by the crossing, and the seminary is on the outside looking in as far as their parking is concerned. So that would be another concern there. But we'll certainly look at it. Thank you for bringing it up and making sure we look at all the aspects of it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to take advantage of the public forum? Give anybody else online?
Nobody else, Mayor.
Okay, I'm not seeing anyone coming here in the council chamber, so we'll go ahead and close the public forum and go on to staff reports. Any stuff like to cover? Come on up.
Good evening. I'm gonna go good news, bad news, and I'll start with the bad news. I think there's two trees at Memorial Park that we may have to remove. We've had a couple different arborists there on site that looked at them. we've tried, we're doing everything we can to save them, but the one by the playground there that we've had some debris coming off, and then there's another elm tree almost, I guess it'd be east of the bandstand, kind of by the monument that goes up and split. We've looked at cabling it and stuff, but I guess the structure of the tree just isn't healthy. So we'll probably proceed in getting those taken care of for safety reasons.
Are we looking at replanting them to?
Yeah. I was gonna say our next, when we dig a hole and take a tree out, we have a tree there to put back in. So as soon as, I just hate to take any of those trees out, but they've been, just for safety.
What kind of trees are they?
Elm, yeah.
And that's a good time to bring that up when we just approved an Arbor Day program. Time that is right.
It's just, I know it's not. Well, and then it's just, yeah, we hate to,
We're planting trees.
yeah, we're planting trees. What was my good news? Oh, the good news was on Venture Days, we did a night golf tournament. And it sold out in less than 24 hours, like 18 hours, it was full. So they're excited. So I think we're gonna have 3 different events up there. It might be night skiing at this point, but if we ever get open, it's gonna be night golf. So that's exciting. So I think Brian Hewitt will be excited about that. So thank you.
Any other staff? Okay, well.
Mayor, just a couple of things. I sent you an email out just to let you know, but on our website, we have a banner on the main page of the website that has flooding information. It's really good information. And also we've got a letter from the mayor to send out. It's going to go out in the newsletter. It's going to go out on social media. It's on the web page right now. And we're going to have a couple of sandbagging events on the 17th and 22nd. It's still a little bit early because of the snow. There's not a lot of melt, but we're going to do that and have sandbags that we can put in our most vulnerable places. There's a lot going on. There's also some graphs on the website that you can that's real time that you can click and see what our snowpack is. The snow water equivalent, we're pretty high, but if it warms up slowly, we should be great. We've been doing a lot of work. We're coordinating with a lot of the other communities, the canal companies. Mayor and I rode out today with a high line and looked at lateral 20, looked if there's some fields out further west that we could dump some water if we have to, worst comes to worst. So our staff's going to look at that this next week and maybe contact some of the properties where we could put some water. We're just looking at all angles, but just wanted to let you know, get on the website. You can see a lot of great information. And the other thing also is we are working with Salem City. They're in need of a used electrical transformer. We have 2 of them. We don't use that type anymore, but we've used them for a spare or backup. We're going to keep one as a backup. The other one we're gonna sell to them. It's approximately 15 years old, the transformer. I've been assured by the power company that it's one that we wouldn't use in our normal system. So I think it's good to help other governmental entities at times. We've been the recipient of that at times on some equipment, things like that. So just wanted to make you aware on our ordinance, we can do that. I think Salem City's going through to their council to appropriate the money to do that. But just wanted to let you know in case you have any questions or concerns. Other than that,
Just we'll talk to you.
okay, all right.
I'm spending it already.
We'll talk about that later in our budget.
Yeah, we will, yeah.
Also, another thing just to add with what David said is we're planning on meeting with the HOA associations up here on the villages at Arrowhead and Heritage Village here on down by the county. So we're really trying to address everyone's concerns. Any other staff? Okay, not seeing anybody, we'll move to council report, starting with Council High.
I had a great trip, everybody.
Good. Good for you.
25 degrees.
She said she brought back the snow so
And then
we
they
can
brought
blame
me
her.
snow so that I could just remember how great the trip was.
Good. Council.
Yeah, I was grateful that we posted the sandbag and flooding information. That's been very citizen aware, helpful. Dave, question for you on the sandbagging parties that we're gonna have. We're gonna keep those sandbags for us to put out in the areas we need to. Citizens that want sandbags, we're going to wait. And help clarify that, we're going to wait until the need gets closer, so that we don't have a hoarding of
We'll
sandbags.
continue to evaluate that, but we, in the newsletter article that's going out from the mayor, it says if there's circumstances where citizens think there might be some vulnerabilities, contact Debbie, then we'll run it by our emergency team
Yes,
and try to, we want to make sure that we have sufficient sandbags for the areas that need it. A few years ago, when we did this and opened up to the public, they just, boom, they were gone.
yeah.
And a lot of areas that took them really didn't need them. So we're guarded. We want to help the community the best we can, but we're guarded on, we have 70,000 sandbags, so we should have plenty, but we want to make sure that it goes to the places we need. So we did have an avenue that people can call in. We'll evaluate that. And if, like the mayor said, some of these HOAs where they have some areas that may need some help, we're gonna deliver to them, and their organization can sandbag them and put them where they most need them. And if there's other areas, we can do the same.
I think that's my comment is I want to make sure that they go to the areas that need it rather than those that probably will never need them, come and get them, and then that's short. I think that's very true.
And I think Utah County's doing the same thing.
They are.
They want to make sure that it goes to the right places, not just have a free for all people taking that may not need them. But
What year was that, Dave, that we did it down at the ball field?
it was
About 39.
It was the year after the forest fire.
Yeah, it was 2019, because 2018 where we had the fires.
My first year.
And then we had quite a few storms, and so we at that time, we had the National Guard come in, we had other people, and we had quite a few people, help sandbag. We actually did awesome here. I know the National Guard brought their big machine that had 6 or 7, and the people did better, faster than that thing could go. They kept having troubles with it. No,
That's awesome. I think we're as proactive as we need to be because we're prepared.
And we cleaned a lot of the areas out there, our crews and the citizens helped on the Dry Creek Channel. It's been great so far. It's still cold. We really don't need to put sandbags out right now because really there's no.
70 degrees Sunday.
Yeah.
But that's down here, not up in the mountains.
And that's good. I mean.
We need this lower snow to go.
Yeah, we need warmer weather to get the lower stuff down. But I think we've been as proactive as we can and we'll continue to monitor it.
Okay. Yeah, I would like to add a little bit.
Maybe
One more quote.
Yeah, just one more.
No.
Were we planning on filling Big E this year?
Sure. And then some.
Yeah, I just want to make sure we're planning on filling it.
We might even have to let somebody, it might overflow. I don't think it would.
Well, I know we've got plenty of water, but we lowered it for a reason.
We did.
And we're ready to go.
Yeah, Cameron, our superintendent, he's a little concerned that we don't want it to overflow the dam. But so if it gets to where it's close to the top, we probably will let some out just to monitor, to manage it a little bit. But we think that all of the Payson lakes will be full.
They're gonna be a month digging down to find the cloud.
That's what Travis is saying.
They want to do side by side with tracks.
You're not be able to get on once. I know.
There's
almost 8.5 feet of snow up there.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a day or two before you get to it.
Right on top of that.
253% of them.
Yeah, we'll monitor that. But it's looking full.
Some of it's really wet.
Oh, yeah, this last.
Moisture.
Couple storms. That's part of what I was gonna comment on is, I've been in touch with, Richard Nielsen from the county, questioning him about items that I knew he would be on top of. Ask about some, movement of, landslide. And he talked about the geologists that have been up there and have examined it for him. We are very wet. It only extends down to about 10 inches or so into the soil. They get down to 21 inches. It's relatively dry. The bugaboo back in 1984, 83 and 84 was it went all the way down 21 inches, and that caused this destabilization of the land and hillsides. And so they're not expecting a whole bunch of that. There might be some isolated incidents of smaller ones, but that's what we're anticipating. The bigger problem is snow slides, avalanches, due to the fact that we have a base of snow, and then on top of it, especially the last couple of 3 storms are extremely wet and heavy, creates a situation where you could have an avalanche. And so looking at that as a possibility, then we'd have to decide in the locations that those are occurring, whether we get machinery in to take care of it or use dynamite to blast them out of the way. So we'll take a look at those as they present themselves. Also, a lot of the landslides have happened because of localized real heavy rainstorms. The one we had some slippage about 4 years ago was because of a locally heavy rainstorm on top of the burn scars. So we're looking at those kind of issues as well. We're working real closely with the county. We have a couple track codes that we own. We reached out and. What's that? It's on. They can't hear you. Okay, there we go. A little bit better. And we've reached out, and I believe we've rented a couple of extra track codes and be flexible there as well. So again, like Dave said, and also Pro Scott, I think we're as proactive as we possibly can. Never go ahead.
I just have one thing. I have really enjoyed being involved with the chamber. It's been eye-opening, and knowing how much they are concerned for all of the business owners, and it's been fun too. I've enjoyed it. We had the ribbon cutting for fellas down on the turn, and the young couple that own it, they own 3 others, and they are on top of everything, and it's such a neat looking shop. So I'm tickled for them. I won't embarrass you. That was great.
Well, I got a haircut and I got a shave too.
The bishop, I looked at the bishop and said that, sorry. The mayor was a little late coming, and we were wondering whether we were gonna be able to, how come the mayor's not here to do the ribbon cutting? I thought it was at 12, and so I got on the phone and called him, and he had forgotten. But he did remember that he had an appointment to get a haircut at 1 o'clock.
There you go.
So I said to the girl that was gonna do the cutting, the mayor has no hair. I don't know if he's scheduled.
I'm gonna go for a little while.
Okay. Anyway, it was a great day, and the chamber does such a good job. And that's all I thought.
Go ahead.
I don't have anything to add. We're gonna talk about conservation, water conservation in a little bit.
Yeah.
We'll talk then.
Wonderful. Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to action items. Resolution appointment of new planning commission members and oath of office. Dave, did you want to say anything on that? Okay. We had the pleasure of interviewing a number of candidates for the planning commission, and we're able to extend positions to, I believe there's 3 of them that we would like to swear in tonight. Better get the right paper here. We have Kepe Hey Mooley, sorry, Cami Brinkerhoff and Ryan Rowley. I present those names to the council. Do we need to do anything?
They won't be sworn in tonight
They won't.
because we
did not notify the judge, nor is Kim present at the meeting. She's online, but she's not physically present here today.
Okay. Well,
So
then I'll
we
go-
will do that at planning commission. The next planning commission meeting, I believe, is next Wednesday. Is that right?
That'll be sworn.
They'll be sworn in before the meeting starts.
Well, we appreciate all of them being here tonight very, very much. I look forward to working with you. I'd like to present the names to the council and get their blessing on these appointments.
Sounds good to me.
You too.
Okay.
We make a motion.
Yes, yes, please make
I
my
move that we accept the names that have been submitted for new appointees to the planning commission.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and seconded, roll call vote starting with Council Beecher.
Yes.
Council Carter.
Yes.
Council Prosgard.
As long as you swear can't be in twice.
Yes. Council Knight.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor, maybe I can come and shake your hand.
Yes,
Yes.
please.
That'd be great.
It's a little something. Rob will just. I appreciate it. That's been nice.
Bishop.
Former bishop.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. Awesome. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Ryan, you're too young to be a bishop.
Everybody said that, but it's wonderful.
That means there's things in the future.
I think.
Okay, once again, thank you for being here.
You don't have to stay, Kathy, if you don't need to.
The people coming in. If you're there, go down.
Okay, we'll go ahead and move to the next number 2 under D action items, a resolution appointment of Board of Adjustment members. We would like to welcome John. Let's see where we at here. John Cowan, and also I know him as Charlie, but Ray Wilson.
Neither one are here.
Neither one's here, but that's okay. Will they be sworn in at some time in the future date? Okay. John, where you at?
That's not John Cowan.
Okay,
I don't think either one of us here.
Okay.
No, they're not.
okay. Well, I'd like to present those names to the council and get your sustaining vote.
Mayor, I make a motion. And I think it's approved John Callen and Ray Wilson as new board of adjustment.
I'll second that.
Sheriff? It just says sheriff or
Members, just
Member.
members.
Just members. Okay, it's been a motion, been seconded. Roll call vote again, starting with Council Hyatt. Council Prosgard,
yes.
Council Carter,
Yes.
Council Beecher.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you.
Actually, Mayor, can I say something about
Yeah,
that really, really
absolutely,
quickly? It cannot go without acknowledgement that John Cowan has been on the Planning Commission for over 3 decades. And Payson City is greatly indebted to his service and everything that he has done. So we will be doing something special for him next week at Planning Commission. If any of you would like to come, you are more than welcome. I'll be there. We could not let that pass.
He's disconnected
Acknowledging.
the video.
Replace on board of adjustment.
It's that little cable that connects to the camera.
I think it was John Wilson and Sue Ann Larson.
More, what,
He was on the plan.
Yeah, he was on
And
the
then
plan.
Jason just pins it to,
You're right.
Yeah.
he just needs to pin pick.
Planning commission 6:30 these days.
I think it's 6:30. Robert, is it 6 or 6:30 for planning commission?
They told me 6:30.
6:30. You're welcome to show up at 6 and hang out for 30 minutes.
If you do, we'll wonder about the appointment space.
That's right.
Will you have treats?
Yes, we are going to have treats
Okay, thanks.
and Diet Coke.
Okay, thank you. We'll go on to number 3, resolution participation in municipal alternative voting methods, ranked choice voting. Dave?
Mayor and council, we have to make a designation before a certain date, and this is the last council meeting before we have to make that determination. So we want to have discussion with the council. We did ranked choice voting 6 years ago. Was it 4 years ago? And had a good experience with it. 2 years ago, we ended up we chose to do ranked choice voting, but we didn't have election because we had nobody sign up except for the incumbents. And so this year, we have to make that determination if you want to go with the ranked choice voting or go back to the normal voting. So I just leave it up to the council for discussion and vote.
One thing I would like to note as far as the ranked choice, the one thing that, and maybe this has reference to more on a state and a state basis, but we changed the way we get our candidates. Not only can they go through the delegate process, but they have a petition signed to get onto the ballot. And so in that light, we had to change the way we do our elections in my mind. So that's all I'll say about
I think it was positive. I think I only heard 2 negative comments, and the positive far outweighed. And so I'm all in favor of ranked choice voting.
Especially considering you're out running.
How do you know that? I think it's positive. I think that Payson has always been on the forefront of the new technology, and this seems to be a right way that many people get the opportunity to get the platform out there, what they believe in before you have to go to a primary, and they're in it to the bitter end until the actual election. So I think people get the opportunity to view all of the candidates and discuss, the positives and the negatives of each one of them. And for that reason, I'm all on board with ranked choice voting.
Any other voices on the council?
I don't have a comment. It's probably good thing. So
I think it's a good thing.
Okay.
I just think it's a good thing, but then I've done research on it, and a lot of the socialistic countries are doing this because they can get, if they don't want the main person to win, they go after the other 2 and they get it. I mean, there's ways to manipulate the system.
Both systems you can manipulate. That's my thought as well. So, in light of the discussion we've had, is there any other? If not, I'm ready for a motion.
Motion to approve ranked choice voting for the upcoming municipal election.
second.
Okay, we have a motion, a second, starting with Council Beecher, roll call.
Yes.
Council Carter,
Yes.
Council Prostgard,
Yes.
Council Hyatt.
No.
Okay, that's fine. Motion does carry 3-1. Okay. We'll move on to second page, number 4, resolution, interlocal agreement with Utah County regarding the 2023 elections. Dave?
Mayor, this is an interlocal that we have, each election that Utah County has a sign. It shows our responsibilities and the county's responsibilities. And it sets forth, how we govern the election. So, we don't see any issues with the interlocal. The exhibit B, if you looked at that, it has cost for a primary and a general election, and with ranked choice voting, we would not have a primary, so it would just be the general election cost. And so we just recommend the county approve
We're
that.
saving the citizens money, Teresa. She said she's still gonna hug me out.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, lacking any discussion, ready for a motion?
I move we approve the resolution to sign the interlocal agreement with Utah County regarding the 2023 elections.
Second it.
Okay, have a motion been seconded, roll call vote starting with Council Hyatt.
Yes.
Council Proscar.
Yes.
Council Carter.
Yes.
Council Beecher.
Yes.
Thank you, motion carried. Going to number 5, resolution revocable cross parking license agreement with Brokers Investment LC and special warranty deed. Jason.
Mayor and council, as you know, we are in the process of getting a quote on at least redoing the road piece on Main Street. We think, and we possibly may have at least enough to do phase 1. Phase 1 will be the road in the 2 downtown blocks, plus rehabbing in some of the areas and adding storm drain and other things that are currently in the front of the building or non-existent. ERG, as you may be aware, owns that parking lot that sits behind the old bank on the corner there. ERA, sorry. She does work there. She notified me the other day she was gonna be here. ERA owns that parking lot that sits behind the old bank and the building next to it. They have agreed to allow the city use of that parking lot. By the agreement, it can be revoked any time for any reason, but at least for the time being, it will be used for our patrons and our festival goers and that kind of thing. As of right now, I think people use it, but they shouldn't be. It's currently their parking lot. As with that, so that's the first thing, that's the agreement, and we would ask the council pass that. Second part of it is ERA has agreed to sell, to donate, I should say, not sell, but donate the alleyway that sits between Scott Phillips' property and the ERA building. We will put storm drain, is that right, Travis? Storm drain will run through that and we will then take it back into the back of the parking lot. We will end up resurfacing the whole area because of the storm drain that we'll have to install, but they are donating that property to us. And we would ask you to allow the mayor to sign off on that as well. If you have any questions.
That property sits between the blue and the furniture.
Right.
That property, not the one in behind.
Right, yeah, it's the alley that sits in between the two buildings, not anything behind. They already own everything behind it.
So does ERA own the furniture store also?
I think, no.
No.
But the furniture store does not own any of the parking.
Yeah, they don't have any of the parking.
I knew for security.
Yeah, all that parking back there belongs to ERA.
They thought they had some parking there, but they do not.
But by this agreement, any of their customers would be able to use this parking lot as well.
So the storm drain is gonna run through the alleyway, what is it going to service?
The road, it just picks up the stormwater from the road, but everyone where to store it, that's where it is.
So I'm not understanding where the water's gonna, is it gonna percolate into the ground, is it gonna go onto a funnel system?
It's just the underground storage and just goes underground.
Will we be draining the water off the parking lot that's back there?
We'll have that, yeah, that'll have to go in there too.
Is there another drain back there already? It seems like there is one.
There is one.
On the north end, yeah.
Just got a little concerned.
No,
Where we're going to allow them to rebuild that at any time and we put the cost and they decide to revoke it in July, or when we complete it, we just dumped a lot of taxpayer money into something that just got revoked.
Well, any of the improvements made to it, of course, we would technically own, we will maintain the storm drain feature. They will maintain the parking lot itself, snow removal or any other issues with the potholes, things like that. But it does allow us to build in things like islands, and things like that in the parking lot. We would maintain all of those. Of course, we'd still own. I don't believe this is, in talking to the owner and the attorney that represents ERA, I don't believe it's something that would just be revoked just out of just thin air. It's something that it's not one of those things that it wouldn't be just something that would disappear. I mean, they believe in our vision of changing Main Street, and they want to work with us. In fact, they've been one of the first to work with us in trying to provide additional parking for anybody that goes down there. Once we open up the food hall and the other things, parking is going to be at a premium as best we can get it. We need to get as much as we can.
Don't get me wrong, I'm all in favor of it. I'm just saying the facts that there ought to be something contractually that if they can terminate at any time, that we're given some time to find another place to put ours.
There is a notice provision in it. I want to say it's about 30 days, if I recall right. 30 days is not a lot of time to move the storm drain,
Right.
but we own storm drain and we own all sorts of things that sometimes end up on private property. That's true. We do have the right to maintain those items if we need to maintain them. That never goes away, period. There will always be that easement there that we can maintain the storm drain system. Even if we don't own the property or the parking lot, we can still have access to it.
That's contractually in there.
That's not contractually in there. That's just something that's by
deeded right away.
Well, because the line will go that we will soon own and connect into back there.
Just talking that alley, not talking any of the parking.
Right, we will not own any of the parking.
Yeah, we can talk with the brokers on that, because if the parking sharing goes away, we ought to put something in there that the storm drain can still stay there. But
That's what I'm trying to do, is just.
We can talk, we can get that in. I'm sure that's no problem.
Yeah, that should be.
Yeah,
All right.
okay, we can do that.
We'll make that change, make a motion with that. Yep, change made.
I feel better.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? If not, I'm ready for a motion.
Mayor, I'd make a motion that we enter into the agreement with, where we give you authority to enter the agreement with ERA concerning the easement right of way and storm drain system, provided we go back through and contractually have our attorney contractually put something in there that allows us the right to, how do I want to say this?
Maintain the storm drain.
Maintain the storm drain.
That works.
Have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Yeah, have a motion and
Wait,
second.
one more.
One more thing.
Even when
Parking,
the
parking is ceased.
If and when.
I don't see it in the foreseeable future, but we're tickled to have you on Main Street. But we're spending citizen dollars here.
I believe your comments are very good, so I don't think they'll have a problem with that.
Thank you. So you understand the intent?
Yes.
Okay. Sometimes it turns out like, oh man, they were hardcore.
You still have that second.
Second is still good.
Okay. Have a motion been seconded, a roll call vote starting with Council Hyatt.
Yes.
Council Proscar.
Yes.
Council Carter.
Yes.
Council Beecher.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Did you do the warranty deed as well?
No.
Please do that one. They're part of the same.
Didn't I say I authorized the mayor to enter into the agreement? And
Yeah.
Take a second if you got the word.
Okay. In my motion, I will include the warranty deed if Kurt will second.
I'll second that.
Is that okay?
It's in the same resolution.
Okay, we go to E work session. Dave.
We're moving quick. Kim, I don't know if you can hear me, but could you let me share my screen?
I can hear you, but we're having a lot of difficulties hearing the mayor and the council.
Just make sure you talk into your.
I can't get it any closer. My nose keeps it.
Pretty sure you hear me.
Kim, this is Bob. Can you hear us?
I can hear you, Bob.
There you go.
By the way, Kim, thank you for what you're doing. I know you're gone to a conference, so appreciate you helping us.
You're so welcome. Thanks.
Mayor and council, we want to have just on this work session, talk a little bit about water conservation. And I just got a couple of slides that we can, if you're on Zoom in your own computer, you can look at it, but I'll share the screen up here so you can see over here. I just wanted to go through a couple of things. The last couple of years, the state legislature has passed a couple of different laws. One of them, it's 10-9A 536, and it talks about water-wise landscaping. And this is the definition in the state code. Any or all of the following: installation of plant materials suited to be the microclimate and soil conditions that can remain healthy with minimal irrigation once established, or be maintained without the use of overhead spray irrigation, use of water for outdoor irrigation through proper and efficient irrigation design and water application, or use of other landscaping design features that minimize the need of the landscape for supplemental water from irrigation, or reduce the landscape area dedicated to lawn or turf. And it also indicates in there that a municipality cannot enact or enforce an ordinance, resolution, or policy that prohibits or has the effect of prohibiting the property owner from incorporating water-wise landscaping on the property owner's property.
Why don't we just let the legislature come down and run the city?
And they're working toward that.
They're up there. They've taken away all of our rules on buildings. Are we just sitting up here as parsley on the plate?
It seems like that on certain issues.
I'll tell you.
Some of us are onions, so.
I was gonna say that.
We should stay.
Couple more parts. I didn't put the whole code in here. It's quite long. It says a municipality may not require a property owner to install or keep in place lawn or turf in an area with a width less than 8 feet. I think that's targeted at the stop run, the park strips. If it's not at least 8 feet wide, you can't require them to put grass in there. And then it says a municipality shall report to the Division of Water Resources the existence, enactment, or modification of an ordinance, resolution, or policy that implements regional-based water use efficiency standards established by the Division of Water Resources by rule under this other section.
David, my only comment on that is since we can, when that strip becomes unruly, whether it's weed or bunch of weed or whatever infested, do we have any recourse on that, Jason? That because it says we can't force them to do anything.
No, it says you can't.
Can't force them to have lawn.
You can't force them to have turf.
Yeah, we could, through code enforcement, things like that, make them keep.
Yeah, I think we'll let planning and zoning figure that out. That's your first job, you guys.
Part of what they did this last legislative session, and Councilman Beecher can talk about this as well, but they established a landscaping conservation incentive program. I think they put $3 million in that could be directed to water conservancy districts, not cities. And that they can award grants to districts through landscape conversion incentive programs. So those are the couple of things that have been the last 2 years put into the state code. So then we look at the Central Utah Water Conservancy District. That's our district in our area for water conservation. They have some standards that they sent forth and set out. I copied a couple of these for discussion purposes. The purposes of what these water efficiency standards is to conserve the public water resources by establishing water conservation standards for indoor plumbing fixtures and outdoor landscaping. The applicability of their standards is shall be a minimum to be required for all new developer, contractor installed residential, commercial, institutional, or industrial construction as applicable. These standards shall apply to existing ordinances related to city required landscaping. So our current landscaping ordinance has not adopted any of these standards. There are certain standards, and Kurt, you can talk more, that the city would have to adopt if our residents would be eligible for reimbursement through the state or through Central Utah to flip their strip, to take some of their landscaping out and convert it into water wise. And so this one is, I think these are the standards that Central Utah said we would have to put in our landscaping ordinance so our residents could be eligible for the conversion. Lawn shall be not less than 8 feet wide at its narrowest point. The lawn shall not exceed 35% of the total landscaped area. And then it defines total landscaped area, improved areas of the property that incorporate all of the completed features of the landscape. The landscape area does not include the footprints of buildings or structures, sidewalks, driveways, and other non-irrigated areas intentionally left undeveloped. So of the landscapable area, you can't have more than 35% in lawn. Others have to be other types of landscaping that would be put in there. It says launch small residential lots. That gives you kind of an exception there. If it's less than 250 square feet, you know, they have some exemptions there. It does say lawns shall not be installed in park strips, paths, or on slopes greater than 25% or 4:1 grade. And then in commercial, industrial, and institutional multifamily development, common area, the lawn area shall not exceed 20% of the total landscaped area outside of active recreation areas. If it's a recreation area like a soccer field or something like that, that doesn't apply. But if it's normal common area in a multifamily, it has to be only 20% of that area could be turf. So I think that part is the part that that we would have to adopt in order to allow our residents to be eligible for reimbursement.
What's our requirement right now for new residential of landscape?
I think it's 50%.
Robert, isn't it like 50%?
I think it's allowed to be the entire front yard. That's all it is, just the front yard.
Nothing in the back. Nothing in the back.
But I don't think there's a percentage in the front yard. It could be 100% turf.
So maybe that's something we'll want to revisit
tonight. That's what we're looking about.
That's one of the requirements, yeah.
I guess I look at the planning and zoning to come back with the recommendation that if we're being mandated, that's a different story.
Well, you're not being mandated unless you don't want your residents to get the rebate.
Is there a so we're being mandated?
You want the residents to get the rebates, is what it really boils down to.
And there's a portion.
You didn't hear that, Jason.
I think a couple of meetings ago, we put a copy of Central Utah's entire guidelines, and we put our proposed ordinance that we have not adopted yet. And that proposed ordinance came from a model ordinance that the Central Utah gave me a couple of years ago. And so we can talk in detail of those, but we just wanted to have a discussion on the council's feelings on how you want to move this. I looked at the proposed ordinance that we set forth about a year or so ago. The council tabled it, but it has some like the applicability, the provisions of this ordinance shall apply to all new and rehabilitated landscaping for public agency projects, private development projects, developer installed landscaping in multifamily, single-family residential projects. I don't know if we need to go through it here. It talks about landscaping in new single-family residential developments. It talks about prohibitions on restrictive covenants requiring turf, like HOAs, and that's in the state code now. But HOAs cannot dictate that that the property owners have to have turf.
Can they dictate that you can't do the Euroscape?
No, they
Cannot
can't.
dictate that either.
We got.
I know, we got a letter just
That's
recently.
done her.
Yeah, and I sent them the state code so they could look at it. And I said, I'd recommend you talk to your HOA because they're probably not aware that the state code changed.
They're about the only other ones that have the teeth pulled. The HOA.
So really, we just wanted to have some discussion because we can bring a full ordinance back to you if you're not really interested in a full ordinance. If the councils would consider putting at least the portion that Central Utah requires in to enable the citizens to get the rebate. Just wanted to have a discussion from the council. And then we can bring back to you any variation of a revised ordinance that you want us to bring. I know since I've been here, we've talked for years and years about maybe having some xeriscape requirements or encouraging our new developments to have this. And we've never adopted anything, so we're getting to the point, like you say, Bob, the state's gonna come, I think they're gonna keep ratcheting it down until, and we do live in the second driest state in the country, so it's probably something that's not gonna go away. This year is probably a bad year to talk about it because we're talking about flooding. But the past 10 years, we've had very little.
I definitely think it's the right way to go. It's just the fact that for the last how many years we've encouraged Payson to look green and look pretty, and now all of a sudden we're saying you can't do that no more.
Yeah, well, drive by the front of my house.
Yeah, I've been to your place.
Does it look bad?
Jeff St. George.
In other words, it's just turning from the old to the new.
It's just different. It's changing.
The home that we gave the yard of the month.
Yes,
Yeah, it was not very much for me.
we're gonna start.
Well,
You got all the other.
The other one, Xeriscape.
I don't want to mandate that. I think this is something that we need to
I feel
consider.
about the citizenry. I feel like the citizenry should be eligible. That 3 million was just for Payson, right?
As much as you wanted, as much as the citizens.
Well, I would like all citizenry to be available for that, to be eligible for that.
And Central Utah is, for example, on the Flicker Strip, we're actually higher per square foot than other ends.
Are we really?
Yes, so it's more of a rebate if you put the strip in Central Utah's area than you do in other areas.
Good to hear. Okay, Robert, you got anything
And
else?
then there's
to add?
also the low flow toilets and all of those kind of things that you get rebates on as well. Smart controllers, all of those kind of things.
The only thing that I would add to this discussion is just the reality that there will be a requirement now that it is different than is in current, that each single-family dwelling would need to submit a landscape plan that calls out the number of, the percentage of their landscaping breakdown. I'm not saying that's good or bad. It's just, it will be a requirement if this is the direction that the council wants to go, which if we want to allow the rebate to our residents, we have to adopt this. So that's just one more layer that we'll go through, and we will happily go through it if that's the direction that we have. But it is one more layer that's not currently required. And this is only for new construction. This is not existing construction. This is new construction.
Put your strip to be for anybody.
Right. So anybody is eligible for the rebate if we adopt this, but the requirement only applies to new construction.
So my concern with that, is it's another price we're gonna put on a new home builder to show a landscape plan. You'll probably spend the money that you got in a rebate to pay a landscape architect to draw that.
There won't be a rebate if you just do it up front, if you just do it as part of the development. To begin with, there won't be any rebate. The rebate is if you flip what you already have.
Robert, what staff think? What do you guys recommend?
I think that the reality of the situation is that we have to conserve. Like, is this a huge drop in the bucket? No. Right? But I think that it's.
That this is more lipstick on whatever.
It's a starting.
It's a starting point than it is a real conservation.
It's educational awareness. The thing that I would put in there though is that this is not zero-scaping, right? There is a difference between zero-scaping and xeriscaping. And I think educationally that becomes incumbent upon us to define what those differences are. In this, there's so many good examples of how this could be applied. And it's not just rocks and a few bushes. Like there are really great ways to apply this. It's not as cheap as grass. That has to be an established understanding that we are not doing this as a way to completely replace the cost. That there has to be an element of this is what the council feels like our residents should do, and that's why we're doing this.
Well, if you go to total xeriscape, it increases the cost of keeping your house cool.
Right. I mean,
so there's pluses and minuses. You know, that's why I wouldn't force people to do this.
I think the educational component of this is probably the big win.
Then I'm all in favor, if you hear what the council's in favor of, is that we remand it to you guys and come back to us with what you recommend and we'll evaluate.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you want to give us that direction to look at this and say, okay.
We're all in favor of it. It's the next gen that we need to be that step ahead. Let's do it.
Yeah, but I just want to reemphasize that we are moving forward with the idea that this is not a cost for cost type of situation. This is not you're going to completely cover the cost of rehabbing your front lawn and front park strip by the rebate that you're going to get. It's there's more to it than that. So, okay, we will move forward.
Sounds like you got your mandate. Go ahead and bring us something.
You need to prepare something to approve. Right, but I like the idea of you guys come back to us and say, we think this is what would be the best. And rather than we sit up here and try to.
So with the understanding that what you want to adopt is the opportunity for our residents to get a rebate. Because there are minimum standards that we would have to adopt.
Okay. We want you to come back with something that recognizes those minimum standards and we adopt those minimum standards at least. Okay.
Make them palatable to us.
Well, there's that lipstick.
Well, if Cappy was here, he'd tell you there's many ways to prepare a pig.
In the ground is best.
In the ground is his best.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for that discussion. We'll move forward, try to bring something back to you. Okay, the next one is on budget. We wanted to give you some updates on budget. Kathy and I will tag team on this, right?
Sure.
I think I've got the most recent one, right? We just.
Maybe you bear this out, David, or and I say question for the council. We're going to do truth and taxation.
We'll talk about that.
Okay.
What we got to talk about.
We have done that for many years, and so we'll talk about that. So let's just talk about some of the positives of this ended budget that we're working on. Our sales tax is coming in healthy. It's not the best in the state, but it's better than we had from previous year. Dale's working on citywide update of the Wi-Fi. We just entered in as the council to partnership with the Scottish Festival. We did have an issue at the current sewer plant with ammonia. We had a problem with that, and that was causing issues with the UAMPS plant. We did some Travis and our consulting engineers was able to put some temporary blowers in there, and it actually fixed the problem. So that's been a good thing. Our golf RV park continues to do well, and as you all know, we received some good money from the state legislature to start our new interchange, and we're working through that. So there's a lot of positives going on. Here's a couple of concerns that we have. It feels like we're turning into a little bit of recession. We've got inflation. I think you see it in our building permits. Our development process is still moving forward. We continue to entitle properties and get it ready, but I think the actual building permits have slowed down, not just in Payson, but everywhere. And so that's a little bit of concern. Cost increases that we list here, wages, part-time wages, benefits, our health insurance went up, not too bad. Utility rates, we'll talk about that in a little bit. But I know when we had our retreat up at the Zermatt, we talked about employee wages and taking care of our employees, so we've attempted to do that. There's a balance between state code, the needs, and the future available resources to using fund balance reserves. We have used a little bit of fund balance reserves. We've had a lot of influx of money through ARPA and different things like that. We have to match some of that. So I think we've been able to get a lot of projects done, but there are some concerns hanging out there, and I don't know if they're just there to be aware of. Here are some of the positions that have been asked for in this new budget. You can see over here the second to the last row is those that we currently have funded and those that we have not. We've funded a police officer, a parks worker, seasonal person, a recreation maintenance person, a seasonal GIS person to help during the summer months, a water maintenance employee, although today we may change that a little bit, the water department, but actually like a new service truck. And if it came down, they'd love to have both, but if it comes down to it, I think they'd rather have the service truck this year than the employee. So we're going to have to look at that one. We are coming up with another crew on the ambulance department so that we can cover 24/7 the day shift and the night shift. It's getting harder and harder to use volunteers. We did put in for another stormwater employee. We did get audited by the state. We haven't seen the results of that, but when the audit comes down.
Yo, Brand, what are you doing? I was.
Yeah. Anyway, we may need to do some different things with the storm drain when we get the audit back from the state, but they were suggesting maybe we need 2 employees, but we put 1 in the budget until we get word back from the state. You can see the ones that we have not funded yet. Again, here are some other tentatively funded capital projects. There are several projects using Class C road funds that are budgeted for. We've got the 8.3 million for the downtown Main Street. We did explore, the mayor and I, about going back to our lobbyists and getting some additional funding that we had the year before to go toward the new interchange. We were counseled that we better not do that because we got a pretty big chunk this year, and if we're going back to ask more. So we kind of put that on the shelf. So we're not gonna be able to do the whole Main Street project, but we just got the bid in at the end of the week. We're going through that. We're gonna meet on Tuesday, I believe, as staff, and just go line by line and see what we can get accomplished with that 8.3 million.
This is a correction, the tag grant is supposed to be us. That's just not on that was.
The third one from the bottom.
Yes.
Oh, okay. We did fund the tag grant match. Again, here's some other things: court flooring for the justice court, putting a new HVAC system for this bottom floor here at the city center. We did not fund a fire station, although we funded to do some design work on that, right? That's our first step. I don't need to go through each of these, but you can see that we funded quite a few things in this proposed budget. The power department, which we'll talk a little bit further, that's a growing area of concern, just because of the cost. In our current budget now, with the way electrical prices have gone during the winter, our bill with UAMPS is generally about $800,000 a month. And this last November, December, and January, it was almost double because of the power costs. And so that's something that we need to address. We have hired a company to do a rate study to see, if we should adjust how we do our rates, like the base rate, the tiered rate, and that should be done in 6 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks. So we have to approve a tentative budget the first meeting in May, but then we have from May until we adopt the final budget. And if we do a truth and taxation hearing, which we've done past several years, we don't have to adopt our final budget till August. So from the first meeting in May until August, we can make amendments, we can change things. And so we will get that study done, and we can have a discussion on that as well.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So Surrey Electric did that. So they had, lower the usage, less you're paying. And so 500 and then 1,000 to 500 and then 2,000 to 1,000. And I mean, there's a big difference, and probably the people who are using more electricity should be paying more.
And we do have tiered rates. SESD did, and the power costs are up for everybody. They raised the rates, I think 40%.
Yeah. It was huge when I got my bill. Like,
oh, I know.
It was kind of scary, actually.
And I don't know. I don't want to propose a big increase like that. And we'll go through some slides here, but the power department, we have to have some discussion about.
And it's everywhere.
It is, and it's cost.
And I will tell you, every city's gonna be buying on the spot market this year.
Yeah.
Utah County's out of power.
One of the things we did, which is a good thing, is Ty and our power department, the natural, I believe it's the natural gas. It went so high this past summer. It was crazy. We did, through UAMPS, we entered into a contract, a 5-year contract, where we lessened the bleeding. I mean, it was up to $4 or $5. Is it kilowatt or megawatt? I don't know which one. Kilowatt, I believe. And we entered into a contract that it's only going to be $1. So it's higher than it normally is, but it's a lot less than it got to be. So there's some stability there. We can budget for that. And so I think that was a good thing that we've done.
And just so the citizens know, one of the reasons things are going to skyrocket is and I'll put it this way, the war on coal, that the coal power plants are dropping like flies. And so our availability of power that we've relied on in the past is drying out.
David, somewhere in there, I wanted to have a discussion that I had put down the other night on police officers When we get to the point of police officers being put full-time in schools, which I think
Two
is
now.
coming, huh?
We have two now for the, the junior high
And the high school.
there was a bill that got shot down legislatures here to put them in all schools.
Right.
But I think it's coming.
But I think the public outcry is gonna be that they need to be,
Whether it be full-time police officers or retired police officers.
is that, I mean, the citizens, one way or another, are gonna find it, is it gonna be city or is it gonna be school district?
I'm gonna vote for school district.
I am.
We-
I am too, but
We all would vote school district, but we know what the history's been so far.
To answer your question, they do help fund what we have in, so.
Yeah, right now we split half.
Right. In the two officers that we have,
Right.
but I'm counting 8 more.
Yeah, at least,
Kathy, you have something?
Yeah, just real quick, you'll see the sales price in the other column. We just wanted to point out that we're still trying to keep the new vehicles new and having them revolve in quickly. But we're no longer making a profit. In fact, it's costing us more and more, so we don't want that.
The good thing that we've had over the last few years is when you can buy a vehicle at the state price, and after a year, and sometimes 2 years, when you turn that back in, the way the market was, you get a resale and you had to pay for it. It did two things. First, when you drive the newer vehicles, you don't have the maintenance problems, and a lot of it's under warranty. And if you trade it, we were trading it either 1 or 2 years, and we've been able to use that vehicle for 2 years, and we got more money than we paid for it back. Great program. Right now, the market's changed a little bit. It's still a good deal, but it doesn't become a wash anymore. It might cost us a few $1,000s to trade it in, but I still think with the maintenance, it's still a good idea to do that, but we just wanted to point that out to you. I don't need to go through many more of this, but there's a couple of things we're working through. There's a lot of water projects, and like any project, even the sewer project, costs materials and operations. And so we need to look at, how best to deal with that. Our recycling, we got notice from Republic that they're raising the prices. We actually are in a little bit of a deficit right now with our recycling because we charge a certain amount for recycling, which covered all the costs, but they do have a fuel surcharge, and that's gone up to where it's costing us more than what we're charging citizens. And so that's something that we're gonna have to look at of raising those rates for those that are doing recycling just to cover the cost. Here's the power, and this is Kathy put together the power purchase at the power plant. This coming budget, we budgeted 11.5 million to pay for the power. This current budget is 9.2, but with the way the costs have gone, that's a pretty big increase. And the rates we're charging for power is not, we're using fund balance to cover it. We're not passing that on. So there's a couple of things we can talk about. A lot of cities and a lot of private, Rocky Mountain and SESD and even some cities, they have their rate that we charge, but they also have a fuel surcharge. And so if fuel goes up, that just automatically goes on their bill. And if fuel goes down, that goes down or goes off. And so we haven't done that, but that's an option that we really need to discuss with the council. And we talked about here, there's a rate study happening, but here's the big kicker. And Bob, you've been to some of these meetings, but here are some of the projects that we have not budgeted for, but that are coming. There's a transmission line. We need the new substation out by Spring Lake, where we have that area that was the property was dedicated for a park and for a fire station and for a substation. So we've got the property, but with all the growth that's happened from Payson out towards Spring Lake, it's critical that we do that. So we have consulting engineers doing some design work. And that's the least expensive one of these three, but it's probably going to be about $3.5 million. We have some impact fees to cover a good portion of that, but that's something that we're going to have to take care of. We also looked at, and we're investigating and bringing to the council to have at least a 10 megawatt power plant brought into line. That's a couple of year project take, but it puts us more in control with what we can control and produce our own power. That's a $24 million project. And then we have the SUBPS substation transmission lines, and I know that cost boggles me. It's $50 million, and that's with Spanish Fork, Salem, SESD, and Payson. That's and Springville. Those are the members of SUBPS. But those are three projects. I mean, if you look at the SUBPS substation, just our portion of the debt service with that's going to be $2 million a year. The 10 megawatt plant might be another $1 million. And then the transmission lines, did you put those in there? Yeah. Kathy, tentatively, 2 million, 2 million, and 150,000. So those are projects that are coming down the pike that we have to account for through the revenues to get that done. So power's a something that we really have to deal with. The ambulance department, they're adding additional part-time personnel to operate the night shift so that we can have 24/7 coverage. That should help us out a little bit. Storm drain, we talked a little bit about that. We had an audit through the state. We're waiting to hear back their conclusions. We're probably going to have to make some changes to make sure we comply with their requirements. I think we'll be okay, but we may have to have some manpower. As you know, the sewer, we're almost at 100% where that'll go out to bid. We're doing a rate study on that through Zion's Public Finance, or Zion's Bank is doing a rate study. We'll have some more information on that. But we need to discuss that as well. Bob?
Yeah, I mean, while interest rates have risen and what was presented at our initial bond that we needed to service, and that's why we increased rates, obviously that's got to change. But also the thing that I'm concerned about is contractors are hungry right now, and so their prices have come down.
Yep.
And so I think we're not going to offset the cost of interest, but it won't be so exponentially great if we are judicious in making sure we pick and get a fair construction.
Right. Well, one of the things Kathy and I talked about is in the past years. Now, last year we did water higher, but we looked at the consumer price index, and maybe you did the utility rates at that percentage. We had to do water a little more last year, and this year is maybe the power. But if we just do a consumer price index on the sewer, and then by next year we'll know exactly what we bonded for and know what the cost is, and then we can adjust if we have to, and hopefully we have sufficient that we don't have to raise the rates again. But I get what you're saying, and we'll know more once we get that the guaranteed maximum price.
This was a good meeting till we got to this. This is depressing.
It kind of is.
The other thing that while we're here making comment is I don't favor stealing any more money out of our fund balances. We're just kicking the can down the road to another council that's going to inherit fund balances that are drawn down enough that concerns me to have the reserves for the city. And so I don't think, personally, I don't think we need to be stealing more money out of our fund balances to subsidize what we should be. I mean, it costs so much money to do business, and the citizens have got to help us understand that we're we're biting the bullet as hard as we can here. And sooner or later, it's gotta either go that way or go that way, and so I'm not in favor of stealing any more fund balance and drawing it down to where we don't have the reserves that we feel like we need to have for the citizenry.
And we need to look careful at that.
Yeah.
Bob, one of the things that's a good thing is we budget very conservatively.
Yep.
And like this current budget that we're in, the council adopted the budget, and I'm just talking general fund, but we were using $2 million of fund balance to make
To meet the budget.
the budget. But looking at the revenues that have come in and everything, we may not use any of that because of the revenues, which is a good thing. Hopefully,
But you haven't seen our wish list yet.
I know, I know. But we do try to look at the fund balances, and some of the enterprise funds are not in that great shape.
I think what I say is in defense of staff, that you guys do a wonderful job, every one of you, in presenting your budgets to us. And we are very conservative.
Yeah.
We always have been, and that's great. But there gets a point that we can't keep fund balancing, robbing.
True.
We have to raise something to cover it, or we're not gonna have enough to cover in times of need. And maybe this is a time need, I don't know. I don't think we're there yet. The economy's still okay. You said our taxation's coming in fairly good. But you guys are too good, because we do have fund balance. That's the beauty of it. But we shouldn't rely on that.
Right.
There comes a time when you're way too conservative,
That's right.
and it hurts.
If you're relying on it too much, then your fund balance goes away. So the next one's property tax, and I just wanted to have a short discussion with you on that. Probably about 10 or 12 years ago, we started holding a truth in taxation hearing. And I think it's been a good thing, and I'll just tell you why, because there's several cities that have reached out just this year. But before we started doing that, I don't think Payson City had raised their property taxes couldn't even find it, 40, 50 years. And so we started doing that to say, look, we're gonna look at it every year, just like every other utility. And most of the time, the city council has just kept the certified tax rate the same as the previous year. And if you understand what the county does, you have a certified tax rate, and that's what your property's taxed on. And then the next year they look at it, and they look at the growth that's happened, the new buildings that have come in, and the county's mandated by laws to keep that revenue about equal. And so if you've had new growth and the value of your properties have gone up, then they lower the certified tax rate to keep it neutral. And so what previous councils and what we've done is we've made the decision to keep the certified tax rate the same as the year prior, which is a tax increase, because instead of the county lowering it, they keep it the same, and it gives you some additional revenues.
But that they keep that artificially low. That's the problem.
Yeah, the thing that's good about that, and I've talked to some other cities.
We did this last year.
Yeah, we did it last year.
We sat on our hands last year, and we had the same discussion.
Yeah.
That sooner or later we gotta do it. Are we to that point?
But what's good about it, even keeping it the same, it helps us over years. I've talked to a couple of cities this year that said, man, I wish we'd have done that years ago, because a lot of cities will do like we did, and you go 30, 40 years, and then all of a sudden we got to do something with this. And a lot of cities say we got to raise property tax 100%. And then you bring all the citizens out, and it's just an uproar. And it's like, to do it just incrementally, at times it helps keep up with the cost of living. It helps keep up with what you need to do a little at a time, instead of not doing anything and then all of a sudden say, oh, we gotta jump this up. And so I like the process the council's done for the last 10, 12 years, and we're proposing that we do it again. Now, here's one of the things that we need to make a decision on. I don't know if we need to do it tonight, but the council has to decide. We're proposing a ceiling. Like we may consider raising property taxes 10%. Whatever you set there, that goes out to the public, and you can't go above that. But you can always go below that. You can say, yeah, we put out there that we're gonna raise it 10%, but we're just gonna keep it the same. And the council has a little flexibility. If the council says, we're gonna keep it the same, that's fine, but you're locked there. If you find that, you know, we need additional revenue, or we've had some issues, you can't go up there, you have to keep it right there.
I think we said 8%.
8%, wasn't it?
Do you remember what we put in
Yeah.
as the ceiling?
That's the thing.
Well, you can go up to 20%, and that's. we
Well,
did
you
that a
could,
few times.
you could go up to 100 if you want.
I thought there was a ceiling that you could go up to 20%, but we didn't have to go to there. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I think the council decided we'll consider going to 20%. We ended up keeping it the same, which was about a 7% increase. And so I just want you to think about that, because you look at all utilities, and you look at the cost of living, you look at the cost of doing business, and you look at all utilities, and I think property taxes is one of those you look at like everybody else's.
Well, the other thing that I had learned when I very first became, and I've said this more times than, you know, like maybe care to admit, but if we do truth in taxation, and looking at some of the things that we're going to maybe have to go out for bond for, we get a better interest rate. We save there again as well. So you get a better interest rate if you do the taxation.
I'm all for the truth taxation. I think the system needs to know where we're at. And if we can dip into raising them a little bit, we've already protected ourselves by doing so. So I'm all in favor, Dave.
Well, I think staff supports that, because we look at it. You guys have the final say once we have, on a truth and taxation, you have a public hearing. It's in August, and any citizen can weigh in on it. You look at the budgets, and then you guys, after the public hearing, you make the decision on where you want to put that. And like I say, probably 90% of the time that we've done this, we've kept it just the same as last year, which is a small increase, but it is an increase.
And I think the other thing we need to let the citizens know too, is it's not the whole property tax, it's the 10 or 12% that we get from, you know, back from the county. Most of it goes to a lot of it goes to the school district. It's only about the 10 or 12% of that we would be incrementally maybe keeping the same or going up 5 or 8%.
But that's a good point, Mayor, because when we say we're gonna raise property tax, you know, even 5% or 8%, it's just on the city portion.
Right.
And that's probably one of the smaller portions of the property tax, because school district's the major one. And then the county has probably the next biggest, and the city's a small one. Do you know how much it is? But I mean, for the city, is it just? Yeah, probably 8 or 9% of the total property tax that you're assessed. So it is a small amount, but it is an increase.
Let's go ahead and say
Okay.
truth and taxation. Just to be transparent to the community.
You think so? No, I think that's. We heard too many things if we drop it. Our bonding ability, our standing, all sorts of things, too many things.
Our bond standing, and right now we're aiming to be in good standing. Super bond.
Yes.
You can keep it artificially low.
Yeah.
Well, do you want staff to just come up with a proposal that way?
Yeah, just like we did last year, David.
Okay. All right.
And then let us make the decision, but I think this year it might be.
Something might be a little higher than what was last.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
With inflation and what it currently is. What's that?
Building that happens.
Just like we can't keep dipping into our fund, we can't keep.
So this next slide, it just shows what the consumer price index on all urban consumers, it's 6%. That's for this past 12 months. So what we did, and this is just for discussion, but we plugged in if we were to raise the rates, utility rates by the 6%, and what that would do for just a normal size house, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, at a 6% increase. If you look at this for the irrigation, it would be if I'm reading this right, Kathy, a monthly increase of $2.51 a month. for that. The power increase, if we did 6% on the power, it ends up being about $13 a month. On a,
This is based on July, so it's high usage, or I mean, if it's low usage month, but we wanted to show you what's paid.
I thought our power rates went on the spot market were higher in January. Let's see, that was Rocky Mountain. Our natural, so we buy power through natural gas.
It's actually
generation.
both, we have natural gas. We pay our bill through UAMPS because we have a portfolio of different.
But I'm saying, the company I work for bought natural gas generated, which is unregulated as far as, and we received almost double what Teresa said hers was. We were about 85% in January, February, and December, January, and February, 85%. So
Increase.
We had $75,000 power bills. They went to 147.
Yeah. Well, I think you saw that throughout the United States, but it hurt. And we haven't raised the rates since last year, but we've absorbed that through some fund balance and other things here.
That's where I'm going with this. I don't think 6%. I know it hurts, but it's not covering the bill.
We just plugged in 6% for discussion. Like I say, we're doing a rate study on the power and on the sewer. And that'll give us some more direction on what the council can look at the data, but we just wanted to plug it in for purposes of discussion.
The rate study includes the projections that you see out there for coming year.
Yes, and they also look at, like, to cover your base low cost, you ought to have, this is what you should charge for your base rate.
Because I don't think there's a fair historical rate to look at anymore. It varies. It's exponentially like this.
Yeah.
In power.
Yep.
Okay.
This is the culinary water. If we were to do the 6%, it's $6.05 a month. The storm drain would go up 40 cents a month. This is our garbage and recycling. If we do the 6%, our garbage would go up 77 cents a month. And our recycling would go up. Yep, we had to look at that because of the fuel surcharge. Republic charges us. We haven't passed that on to the community or to the citizens that do recycling. I think they are. I know that comes up all the time, but we.
About 40%.
I think a lot of people don't mind getting that extra.
Right.
Getting recycled, but if it's just getting put in a dump.
But it costs them so much, meaning if they get spoils in a recycle can.
They have to take it out.
Throw everything.
They take all of the recycling to a facility in Salt Lake, and I think there's one down in Vegas too, but we've been invited by Republic who want to go up to the Salt Lake and look at how they do it, but we get that complaint a lot because you see some of the Republic trucks go out to our landfill. And they're saying, see, they're not recycling, but you got to remember Republic, they only do our recycling, but they do garbage service for Elk Ridge, Woodland Hill. They do some of the other communities that go there. And I know one time somebody took a picture and we went through Republic and it was one of the garbage trucks. It wasn't a recycling truck. So I know we get that complaint, but I'm pretty sure they recycle what they can.
40% is better than 0.
Right.
So at least we're keeping some of that. So it's the same as the water we want.
And again, that might be an educational thing that we need to do with our citizenry. I can't see you.
I can't see you.
We'll go up higher. You can understand that step, but you can't make the slide. I'm gonna get put over here.
We set the pledge for tonight.
There, now I can see. Okay, and then again, the sewer rates, and we are getting close to where we're gonna have a guaranteed maximum price on that upgrade. But we put in here for discussion purposes, if we went the 6% of the consumer price index, it would be about $7.20 a month.
Oh, that's 12%.
Oh, is that 12%?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. So if you look at the combined bill, it's a pretty good increase.
$31.
Yep.
per month.
Is that monthly, right?
So what do you do for the older?
That's where my heart goes.
That's the hard.
It's not just-
And I think we're probably very conservative compared to.
But it's a little hard for
Oh,
those.
you remember that whole
Yeah.
group that came last
Yeah.
year? And I felt for
It's hard to
them.
know.
I'm gonna join them this year. So I do,
But you have kids that will help you.
my kids,
I used to.
He was helping them. Look at that.
You'll be okay then. You'll have to say,
right.
I'm tired. Well, it's not.
Can't win with these guys.
I've never heard my kids helping. That'd be a novel idea.
Who in here has kids helping? You might want a page out of your book.
Usually the other way around it is.
Anyway, Mayor and Council, we wanted to throw this out because, you know, we had the retreat where we talked high level. We're digging down. We're still not balanced in some of our departments, but we're close. And I think the rate study for sewer, rate study for power will help to determine some things, but
Yeah.
and we need to go back and cut some more things back and not do some projects. We're happy to do that. We want to have a budget that you're comfortable with, but we wanted to talk mostly tonight about these proposed rate increases, because it's probably gonna have to happen.
Dave, I think those should be factored in the new budget and see where we go, because I think we've still got some cutting to do. But I think we definitely need to look at these, Linda, and I know I look at you and I go, how can we do that?
Belinda.
Well,
I'm resigned too, so
Yeah.
and that's only based, and the $31 a month is based on a 1,200 square.
But we did this last year too. I mean, that's just where we are in the world today, is we did this last year.
Yeah.
Well, and you think of those people and myself that came that only are there alone and don't have another
Income.
mate for another income. Makes it hard.
Can you come out, Dave? Yes, but I'm not advocating that. Yes, but hey, I'm just thinking outside the box.
It's an explosion.
I know. The rubber and the reality is we need to factor those in the budget so that we can try to get the services provided that the citizenry wants. Right?
Right.
Keep the city healthy, not financially.
The other thing, maybe just to mention in passing, and we can close or whatever, but the council adopted a parameters resolution for that sewer plant update, and we made it at 70 million. Thinking we have 12 or 15 million dollars of leeway, and we're getting close to that number. But like you said, Bob, I think costs have gone down a little bit, but what we've done, and we came to the council to get that parameters resolution. It authorizes the mayor to go ahead and bond for things we need to bond. We already closed on a $10 million bond so that we could get the equipment ordered, because some of the lead times on this equipment is 2 years out. Yeah, we've got a lot of it ordered. Some of the electrical, I'm assuming we've got it ordered.
They were just kind of barely shaking their heads.
But here's what we've got. We went ahead and bonded for the 10 million. We received a loan from the state of 14 million. And we don't have to pay that million back. We got forgiveness on the 1 million. So that's 24.
Yeah, okay,
24. We're looking at Zions Bank's our financial advisor. We're looking at going out on the market, and there's a lot of cost to go out on the market, but they reached out to the Bank of Utah, and the Bank of Utah is willing to bond for 40 more million for the for I think it's 4.2%, which Zions feels like that's better than going out on the market.
It probably is.
And so we're really looking at that in the next couple of weeks. We may close on that. And then we have 7 million in grant money that we got from the state. So that puts us up to 71, but we're still waiting to get the guaranteed maximum price. And that if that price goes down, it's great. We may not have to raise the rates, as much here, but
Earth calling Dave.
I know.
It's not good.
But we did see on that Main Street project that the cost went down a little more than they had estimated. I think you're right. Some of the costs are going down. But who knows? We're never gonna know until we get the guaranteed maximum price, and that's probably, I think it's.
Travis, when is the GMP due?
Is that in June or?
It's in May.
It's in May. So,
Sooner the better.
yeah, so in another month or so.
Okay, and we've got the serviceability of those debt in place right now.
Yeah, I mean, the rates we charge, I mean, again, like we talked about, depending on where that ends up.
The 4.2 or whatever percent, we're able to service that debt with what we've got right now.
We don't know that. The 4.2 million?
No, the 4.2%.
Yeah,
When we bonded, we talked of a different percentage.
Right.
And we had to bond and show that we could service that. Right?
Right.
And we're able to, I guess what I'm saying is, we're able to service it before we commit to it. Because we've been servicing it for what?
Well, it may.
Dollars, can we service it? We're having a raise study done right now. I think that's right for future bonding.
Yeah.
Okay, but this is for the bonding that we've already approved.
The 14 million.
Well, we approved a parameters resolution for up to that much.
That's not the bonding, that's just an upper limit.
But we had to be able to show that we could service that.
Not for
So
the,
we
not
could
for the
pay,
brand.
so we could pay it back.
Well, when we
When I
did
say
this,
service, just make the payment.
yeah, when we raised the rates last year, we said we may have to come back depending where these costs come in.
Yeah.
And that's what we've got to
But at
determine.
that time, we were at 55 or 65 million.
Yeah.
Okay.
And again, the estimates that we gave was like 2.5% interest.
Yeah.
And so, yeah,
That's where I'm going with this.
Right.
We don't have money to service that yet.
right. And that's what we're looking at.
That's why we didn't raise the rates.
Okay, hate to write a check with no money.
I know you got to be able to make the payment.
Okay,
Anything else you want to talk about with budget, or did I?
when do we need to adopt tentative?
The first meeting in May,
Okay.
which is the next council meeting, because we're canceling the second meeting in April.
I know it's hot off the press, but could we have a couple days to tear through it before we get it in front of us to have the tent adopted? The tentative one?
Yeah,
So that, you just send it to us.
I mean, as soon as you get it.
we can send out a thing early.
Have
Yep.
a minute.
Yep.
It was the week.
And if you wanted to do a work session before, I
I
mean,
love that.
we'd have to look and see what your schedules are, but we generally would have a meeting in 2 weeks, and that's the league meetings and stuff. We decided to cancel that, but we can, let me look at calendars and see what we can do.
I would love a work session. I think the council's willing to adjust their schedules, then, aren't we?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's do it. Dave.
All right, all right. All right, thank you. That's all we have.
Thank you, Dave. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
Yes.